There's a place in Cambodia where the ground still gives up bones, where you can walk through a peaceful field and see fragments of human skulls pushing through the dirt after heavy rain, where a tree, just an ordinary tree, was used to murder babies. This isn't ancient history. This happened less than 50 years ago. And what's even more terrifying, most of the world looked away while it was happening. Stick with me, because what I'm about to show you will change the way you think about silence, about evil, and about how quickly a country can fall into darkness. Imagine an orchard, fruit trees, birds singing, just 17 kilometers outside Cambodia's capital. That's what Choeung Ek was in 1975. Then, it became something else. Between 1975 and 1979, this quiet orchard became one of Cambodia's most infamous killing fields. Over 17,000 people were brought here. Men, women, children. They arrived in trucks, blindfolded, confused, and almost none of them left alive. Here's the part that makes your stomach turn. When investigators finally excavated the site in 1980, they found 8,985 bodies. But here's what they didn't find: bullets. You see, bullets cost money. The Khmer Rouge, the regime running Cambodia, didn't want to waste money on executions, so they used whatever they could find. Farming tools, bamboo sticks, sharpened palm leaves. And that tree I mentioned, it's still there. They call it the killing tree. Guards would grab children, infants, and swing them against the trunk, right in front of their mothers. Why would anyone do this? Why would a government murder its own people in an orchard? That's where the story gets even darker. His name was Pol Pot, a former school teacher, soft-spoken, wore a smile that made him look harmless. But in 1975, he and his Khmer Rouge army took control of Cambodia. And Pol Pot had a vision, a terrifying, impossible vision. He wanted to turn Cambodia into a perfect agrarian society. No cities, no money, no technology. He wanted to reset the country back to year zero, like pressing delete on everything modern. On April 17, 1975, the Khmer Rouge marched into Cambodia's capital, Phnom Penh. People cheered. They thought the war was over. Instead, the Khmer Rouge immediately ordered everyone out of the city: doctors, teachers, children, the elderly, the sick, everyone. Within days, millions of people were forced into the countryside, forced into labor camps, made to work in rice fields 16 hours a day with almost no food. And here's the twisted logic. Pol Pot believed that educated people, city people, anyone who wore glasses, anyone who spoke a foreign language, they were enemies of his pure agrarian dream. So he started killing them. Doctors were executed because they represented Western knowledge. Teachers were murdered, even people who simply looked educated, like if you had soft hands that showed you didn't work in fields. That was enough to get you killed. Between 1975 and 1979, the Khmer Rouge killed between 1.5 and 2 million people. That's nearly 25% of Cambodia's entire population. 1 in 4 people gone. But Choeung Ek wasn't just random violence. It was part of a system, a machine designed to erase anyone who didn't fit Pol Pot's twisted vision. So how did people end up at Choeung Ek? What was the pipeline that fed this place? Before victims arrived at Choeung Ek, most of them passed through another place. A place that still exists today as a museum. It's called 21, or by its other name, Tuol Sleng. It used to be a high school. The Khmer Rouge turned it into a torture prison. Here's how the system worked. If you were suspected of being against the regime, you were arrested. Could be because you spoke French. Could be because a neighbor accused you. Could be because you cried when your family was taken away. You'd be brought to S21, shackled, photographed, then tortured until you confessed to crimes you never committed. The Khmer Rouge kept meticulous records, photographs of every prisoner, confessions written under torture. They documented everything. as if they were proud of what they were doing. Of the approximately 20,000 people imprisoned at S-21, only 7 survived. 7. Everyone else? Once they confessed, once they signed the papers admitting they were traitors or spies, they were loaded into trucks at night and driven to Choeung Ek. They'd arrive in darkness. Weak from torture, starving, they'd hear music playing from loudspeakers. Music meant to drown out the sounds of what was happening. They'd be led to the pits. And then, silence. Except here's what haunts me about this story. It wasn't done by monsters. It was done by regular people, teenage guards, farmers, people who'd been brainwashed into believing they were saving their country. How do you turn ordinary people into killers? The Khmer Rouge didn't just kill people, they killed the truth first. When they took power, they shut down newspapers, destroyed books, banned foreign languages, cut Cambodia off from the outside world. And they gave the country a new name, Democratic Kampuchea, as if changing the name would change reality. Families were separated, children were taken from parents and raised in camps where they were taught to spy on their own families. Taught that loyalty to Angkar, the organization, mattered more than loyalty to your mother or father. Imagine being 8 years old and being told to report your parents if they said anything negative about the regime. And if you didn't report them, you'd be killed too. Religion was banned. Buddhist monks were murdered. Even showing emotion was dangerous. If you cried when someone died, that could be seen as proof you weren't loyal to the revolution. The Khmer Rouge created a society where everyone was afraid of everyone, where trust was impossible, where staying alive meant betraying the people you loved. And while this was happening, the world barely noticed. See, Cambodia was caught between superpowers. The US had just pulled out of Vietnam. The Cold War was raging, and the Khmer Rouge, they had backing from China. So when reports of atrocities started leaking out, many countries ignored them. Some didn't believe them, others didn't care because Cambodia wasn't strategically important enough. It wasn't until Vietnam invaded Cambodia in January 1979 and drove out the Khmer Rouge that the world finally saw the evidence. The mass graves, the torture rooms, the killing fields. And by then, it was too late for nearly 2 million people. But here's the question that nobody wants to answer. Could it have been stopped? Today, Choeung Ek is a memorial. When you visit, you see something that looks peaceful from a distance. Grass, trees, paths. But then you see it. A Buddhist stupa, 17 levels tall, made of glass. And inside, 8,000 human skulls, stacked, displayed. Each one representing a person who had a name, a family, a life. Some of the skulls still have blindfolds on them. Some show the cracks where they were struck by farming tools. And around the memorial, there are depressions in the ground. These are the mass graves, shallow pits where dozens of bodies were buried together. After heavy rains, the ground gives them back. Teeth, bone fragments, pieces of clothing. Emerging from the earth like the land itself refuses to forget. There's a sign at the memorial asking visitors not to step on the bone fragments. Think about that. The ground is still full of evidence, still full of people. Why does Cambodia display this? Why turn a place of such horror into a place tourists visit? Because forgetting is what allows it to happen again. The memorial isn't about tourism, it's about testimony. It's proof that this happened, that real people suffered, that silence and looking away have consequences. And here's the part that should terrify all of us. Most of the Khmer Rouge leaders were never punished. Pol Pot died in 1998 without ever facing trial. He lived under house arrest, comfortable, while millions of his victims never got justice. It took until 2006, nearly 30 years after the genocide ended, for an international tribunal to be established. Only a handful of senior leaders have ever been convicted, and thousands of former Khmer Rouge members, they're still alive in Cambodia, Some are in government positions. Some are your neighbor if you live there. The survivors live alongside the people who may have killed their families. How do you process that? How do you rebuild a country when the wounds never closed? Here's what keeps me up at night about the killing fields. This wasn't the Middle Ages. This happened in the 1970s. Color photographs exist. Video footage exists. And still, the world looked away. It happened because people believed a lie, that you could create a perfect society by erasing everyone who didn't fit. It happened because neighbors turned on neighbors out of fear. It happened because truth was treated like a crime. And it happened because the international community decided it wasn't their problem until it was too late. Cambodia lost a generation. Artists, doctors, teachers, engineers, the people who could have built the country's future. Even today, Cambodia struggles with the aftermath. Poverty, trauma passed down through generations, a justice system still trying to heal wounds that may never close. But the killing fields teach us something crucial. That evil doesn't announce itself with horns and fangs. It comes wearing the mask of revolution, of progress, of making things better. It starts with silencing questions, with deciding who deserves to exist and who doesn't, with small betrayals that lead to massive atrocities. The bones at Choeung Ek don't just belong to Cambodia's past. They're a warning about what humans are capable of when we stop seeing each other as human. So the next time someone says, "How could that happen?" remember Choeung Ek. Remember that it happened because people stayed silent, because they believed propaganda, because they thought, "This doesn't affect me." The killing fields aren't just about Cambodia. They're about all of us, about what we're willing to ignore, about what we're willing to forget. And if you want more stories like this one, the kind you can't stop watching, hit that subscribe button, because the next secret I'm uncovering will make this one look tame.